So I'm going to walk you through a few marketing tactics that most people often don't even know about, and specifically the ones that we used to build our last business, which we sold for 180 million in 2022. So let's jump straight in. All right, so everyone automatically thinks marketing is generally, like everyone just thinks content is a big one at the moment in this day and age. We're talking about ads online, and then we got like outreach. But we live online with the big daddy AI in the space, and we're just getting more and more and more noise, right? We end up having all these AI creators and we have all this AI content going out, and the noise just keeps increasing, but it just makes it harder to actually break through, especially if you're a real business or a real human being. Way harder to break out now, right? How do we actually get through this noise? Point one is going to be, what can you do to go above and beyond what everyone else is doing? It's going to be about showing up. And then number three, we're going to talk about some hacks that we did with some stationery, which is like, I guess, physical things. Really what we're looking for here is it creates an unfair advantage for us as a business. And like, how do we find that? And then how do we press in really hard on that to go and dominate the competitors? I think the best thing here is an example of what we did at a company. The first iteration of our company was called Real Hub. It was a software marketing platform for real estate agencies, which is a massive thing in Australia. We ended up taking about 50% of every single property that was sold in Australia went through one of our platforms at the end. No one knew who we were. We were starting from zero. So Daryl, who's actually one of my co-founders here at ClipFlow, we would task him with full rebrand packages. So what that meant was he would go out there, he would fully reimagine a real estate agency's brand and then actually build a new thing for them and then invent new formats for printing, because we were doing printing as well, so physical stuff. And he would go and do that. We would then deliver that to the office and give it to them. And they say, like, this is what you could be doing with us. Like this, we were basically trying to showcase the skills that we had in our team. Now, unfortunately, sometimes that went to competitors, but for us, it hurt a little bit, but it didn't really matter, because what we were really trying to do is we're trying to give away a huge amount of value and be unforgettable. This is where going above and beyond really sets you apart from the competition. You become a leader. Everyone else is following you and you're the one making up the stuff. When someone copies something else, guess what? They're just number two. So we would go out and do that, being unscalably generous. We were just giving away things here. We were giving away ideas. We were giving away, things people would pay a lot of money for. We were talking tens of thousands of dollars to do a full rebrand of a real estate agency. And we were basically doing that for free and just giving it away just to try and win a customer, right? A lot went in there. I could promise you that. A lot of work. I believe that going above and beyond is literally the best marketing trick you can do. Going above and beyond leaves an amazing impression on your potential customers, right? Even if they don't use you, they will tell other people, because they may not be in a position not to change, but they will go and tell other people. So you're going to be in the top of the mind, and it's going to be referral based. Now, referrals are one of the strongest strategies you can use in marketing, right? Because it builds and leverages trust of someone else. So for instance, I have trust within my friend circle, or I'm a big fan of True Protein, for instance. People know me for being someone that really evaluates things and always wants to find the best. So when I can recommend that to them, they already go, Ken obviously knows what he's talking about, so I'm going to believe it. I'm going to buy it. Now, what does that do for the brand? Well, it helps the brand then leverage my brand, which is me, to my friends, and all of the trust that I've already built up. Now, obviously, people don't want to refer things that go badly. So make sure whenever someone comes in as a referral, you always treat that person at top notch, because you want to maintain that level of trust and enthusiasm from your clients that are referring you. This is a super, super powerful thing. And this is why you see influencers, right? Why do influencers exist? Well, they've built a brand, hopefully a trustworthy brand, and then other companies use that to leverage that person's brand to sell. So by going above and beyond, you're doing that yourself. You're basically short-circuiting that process and you are actually delivering the value. Number two, show up physically. So in a digital age, everyone's just interacting over messages and stuff. But if you are a local business and you can actually do this, rocking up to someone's office, you can deliver these kind of things. So what it could be in-person demos. We did this. It was something we did. We were a software platform, but we would go to the offices and show them. It could be in-person training. So if you have a service or something, you could offer this as a point of difference. And it's a very interesting way or different way of marketing to people, because you actually get to sit with your customer in their business and then talk through problems. You get to absorb a lot more, and you can actually refine your product and offering this way. Now, I think a very interesting example in recent days was Alex Hormozi with his little green man, right? They had the whole bunch of green men running flying around Vegas, right? What did that do? Not only was great for content, which is the digital world, but it was also great that people in Vegas were actually seeing these people and was creating awareness for his brand in person, physically being there. Another example is Richard Branson. Every time he launched a new Virgin product, he would do big stunts. He'd like swing out of his helicopter or a hot air balloon or whatever. He was always known as being a very good marketer. But you don't have to go to that extreme. There's a couple of local examples. It could be free coffee from a cafe on a certain day. You could set up things like that. That's a great physical piece of marketing. Accounting firms do family days. Frank, one of my brothers, who was part of the Realbase company, he currently does a thing called Founders Table. And this is a very interesting maneuver here. So Frank's a very busy man. He runs a business, he's an investor, he does a whole bunch of stuff. But what he does is he's actually cooking for his guests. So Founders Table is an event where he gets the top business or entrepreneurs in Australia to visit him for like a session, like a free table session where they can all chat about strategy and all this. Awesome event. But what he does is he actually cooks for these people himself, which is crazy because if you think about it, like I've asked him many times, like, why don't you just get a chef? Like, so that you can be there with the guests and just like do the thing. He has a very interesting point where it's like you're basically serving your guests and it changes the connection and the bond that you have there with those people because they're like, wow, this person's like, why is he doing this? But he's doing it for me anyway. It just creates a very interesting connection there. And Frank's built some of the best relationships. You know, he has an awesome network and it really works well. He then also gives them a gift box. This is also super weird. Why would the host of an event give you a gift? Usually it's the other way around. You rock up to someone's house, you give them something. Franco's giving them a gift box with a special, really expensive Japanese chef's knife and really going above and beyond to show up in a physical space, right? It's an unscalable thing. He can't do this for everyone, but he's choosing to do it while he can. And I think it's such a great example of showing up in a physical presence and that gets people talking about you offline and online. Number 3, this is like physical things. An example of what we used in our last business was we had a key. And it was a USB key. And we gave this out to all the real estate agents in our area when we were starting. And what did? We loaded that USB key with stock photography. And basically what that is photography of the area and surrounds of the suburb. It was a big thing in real estate when they were marketing. They would show like, this is what you're close to, walking distance to beach, blah, blah, blah. We would use that in a time where photographers would charge for these photos as an additional service, right? We went and flipped that on the head. I had been a photographer for 10 plus years, so I'd collected a whole bunch of these. I then collected them and then gave them away on that USB stick. Now, what that did was it gave someone super high value. They don't have to pay for this anymore. But then also it had our logo on it. So whenever they put that in their computer, they would see our company name, Real Hub. You know how USB sticks are. You always need to transfer data. So you'd pick one out and then you would transfer it to the next one. And it'd be passed around the office. And we gave hundreds of these away. And it wasn't just the free photos because we could have delivered that as a digital download. Sure, you could have done that. It would have been more scalable, would have been cheaper. But the physical product gave them something to actually grab onto and hold. We noticed that people would get this, and I actually to this day still see those photos floating around the internet, which is quite funny, which means it's still providing value after 10 years in service, which is crazy. It's like one of probably the best marketing things we ever did. We always think about marketing as reaching like cold or warm audiences. We don't really think about marketing to people or customers we already have. Existing customers are probably one of the easiest people to market to. They already believe your service. They're already using you. You can actually build client value or LTV or lifetime value over time, adding things on and just constantly upselling them, right? And they can become great referral machines, like I touched on earlier. And that could be through, improving your product, constantly over delivering and doing whatever you can to keep them. And then that customer generates referrals, which for you is like the thing. We built our business on like referrals and being the best. That was what we wanted to be known for. And that's how we did it. We did these unscalable things. What does it mean for your business, right? Realistically, do the unexpected. We also want to be just reminded that they spend most of their time offline. So what is it that you can do in this real world realm and actually connect with them physically and create stories and memories that last far beyond a scroll or a reel that they saw on the internet? And I think doing the things offline, whatever you can, actually will give your digital offering real weight. So yeah, I'd love to hear about what you do for your business. What are some things that I'd love to hear some of the things people do for offline marketing? I've obviously only listed 3, which we kind of used. And if you like this kind of content, please let us know. We do have a lot of lessons from building that business. It was a very big journey. It took us 8 to 10 years just doing the same thing. Really, we were all about real estate marketing, so we're constantly in the marketing field building a big business. Lots of lessons. Let us know what you want to hear more about, and we'll dive into that. But until next time, we'll catch you on the next one.